Hey guys, welcome to my review and reaction to the prologue of Memories of Ice of the Malazan series. Now, the reason I started this channel is because I recently got into Malazan and I really want to communicate and share my thoughts about the book as I go on. Now, unfortunately, I already read Gardens of the Moon and Deadhouse Gates, and I absolutely ran through those. But I didn't get to actually posting a video until just now. But at least we're at Memories of Ice because I heard that for many, this is the best book. Now let's get straight to part one. And in the opening, we see a heart-wrenching scene with the Jag Hut mother and her children, which I had a lot of thoughts about. But what goes even crazier is part two, where we have all these elder gods and a mortal who seemingly conquered all. I just thought that was utterly amazing. But let's go back to part one, okay? Memories of Ice. Now, in Gardens of the Moon, they didn't really have too much Jaghut action other than Tool, but it looks like right off the bat, with the poem in the beginning, we refer straight to the Jaghut and Tlanimas wars, which, when I read it, it makes me think, okay, something big is going to happen with them. But I thought based on Gardens of the Moon and Deadhouse Gates that they're basically extinct. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. But based off the poem, when I read it, that's what I thought. And then we go straight into the date, which is 298,665 years before Burn's sleep. First of all, I don't even know what Burn's sleep is. To be honest with you, when I was reading Gardens of the Moon, a lot of the time, I didn't really know what was what. Finally, by Memories of Ice, I'm starting to figure things out a little bit. But regardless, we know that it's a really long time ago. And the first scene we get is the bonecaster Pran Chol and the clan leader Clanig Toll. Canig Toll. Yeah, it's a little hard to pronounce their name sometimes, but it seems like Pran Chol is contemplating the devastating effects of their exploiting the land. And I thought it was cool how they mentioned some of the animals there. I think one of them was an A, which is kind of like a wolf. But, right off the bat, when I saw that scene or when I read it, I thought, oh, they're kind of, I don't know if I should say humanize, but they're kind of humanizing this Tlanimas because I don't think we've really had any exposure to them before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. And, he's contemplating that, but then right on the scene after, we get like a movie scene where a Jaghut mother and her two cubs are, escaping, basically in a fruitless escape, right? And, it's like a movie scene when you see the opening where a helpless mother goes with their child or children, and right before she gets, ended, she somehow makes her children escape. So I felt like that was the kind of thing we got here. But more importantly, once again, it humanized this Jaghut because the only exposure we've had to a Jaghut so far is the Jaghut tyrant that we had in Gardens of the Moon. And, he wasn't humanized too much, in my opinion. He just felt like the super villain. And, when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. They're being humanized a little bit. And you know what's funny? I don't even know what the Jaghut are, but I automatically called her kids cubs. So in my head, they seem kind of like a cross between a bear and another creature or something like that. Now, we see that they're trying to run away, but they meet another Tlanimas, a raven-haired Tlanimas. And initially, I just kind of called her Raven because that's how they described her. But it seems like this Tlanimas is actually, could be a good person, right? A good person as in, on the side of this Jaghut mother. And, maybe it's so because she helps her escape, right? And it kind of went into her past about how she might have lost a child as well. But, when she was doing that, I was just thinking, okay, I think she's one of those like cool, good guy characters. But who knows? We don't know because ultimately, at the end, we see that Pran Chol tells her that you made a grave mistake letting them run away into the warren. But anyways, taking a step back, we see that ultimately Pranchol pursues the Jaghut mother, and he does something called a spirit walk. And I thought that was really cool because just going back to my background love for anime, manga, and even, you even see this in video games, but a spirit walk, you kind of automatically get a picture of what it is when you're just in your body, but then you get your spirit to look into the vast land or something. And I think that's exactly what he did. And ultimately, the Jaghut mother is ended. Her life is ended by the tlan imass that were pursuing her, right? And eventually, Pranchol and the raven-haired tlan imass meet. And the tlan imass, who has raven hair, is actually named Kilava. Kilava of Logros. And I remember thinking when I heard Logros, I've heard that word somewhere before. I swear I've heard it. And I think it was Tool, our favorite Jaghut. Actually, that's one of the only Jaghuts we knew, right? But I did think of Tool. But anyways, I also have here that Pranchol said that he spirit walked into the future. So yeah, these powers go kind of crazy sometimes for me. So far in Malazan, me having a very heavy manga and anime background, to me it seems like sometimes the powers and the battles feel a little like very crazy, and the powers can really range a lot so far. But I think spirit walking is a good ability to have. Obviously, we would all want to be able to see into the future, buy some stocks ahead of time, do some special things. But anyways, Pranchol says he spirit walked into the future and he saw that the Jaghut and Tlanimas war never ended. It spans hundreds of thousands of years into the future. And what does that mean? What can we infer? That means that there's going to be a Jaghut and Tlanimas conflict in the present time. I'm talking the present time with Paran and whiskeyjack and everybody. So that's going to go crazy. I'm not sure how, but yeah. We also see that Pranchol's brother was Onos Tulan, the first sword. And if I think about it, Onos Tulan is Tool, Lassine's right-hand man. So I always, was unsure where he came from, but it looks like he's a lot more special and significant than we thought. Personally, I think it would have been just as fine and just as cool if he was just a regular Tlan Imas who happened to somehow survive in the present and end up with the Malazan Empire. Oh, by the way, and when I first heard of this series, I thought it was Malazan, and I thought that sounded so cool. But yeah, that's just a random note. But let's go straight to part 2. Now, in part 2 of the prologue, we go forward. It's only about 100,000 years into the future. 100,000 years before Burn's sleep. And it says 3 years after the fall of the crippled god. Now guys, right off the bat, we're told about the fall. And I just titled it The Fall because it seemed pretty significant, okay? The fall was a meteoric drop onto the Earth. And I just call it the Earth because I don't know what else the planet they live on is. And the fall caused a complete incineration of the landscape. It says the few survivors who made it all turned into savages and people who would just exploit each other and violate each other, which is pretty bad. It makes me think like of a video game where you have, I don't know if you guys have played Dota before, but in Dota there used to be a player called a shaman, and their ultimate skill would be to bring down a huge meteor and stun everybody. That's what I thought of. But when I saw that the fall turned out everyone into like savages, it made me think, I wonder if the energy in the fall has an effect where it corrupts people. But anyways, that's the individual kind of image that I got. And it said that the fall actually was of a god, and this god was in utter torment due to the fall. So it's kind of interesting because then it seems like the god didn't really want to fall onto this planet, right? And apparently it was by a bunch of summoners who aren't even around anymore. They died due to the fall. But anyways, this foreign god, as it says, broke into 1,000,000 pieces, but I feel like he's going to be back. Now, I feel like he's going to be a bad guy, but I don't know. Was it really his fault if a bunch of mortals summoned him to Earth, uh, despite him not wanting to be here? But let's get on to the really cool part. We finally see the elder god Cruel in his actual form. I don't believe he showed up before, but we see him and his brother and sister, right? And they're gathering because they're trying to bring or stop a mortal emperor who caused utter havoc and dominated everything. Now, guys, this is really cool to me because you basically have a couple gods who are supposed to be like demi individuals teaming up to go against a mortal. So that makes you think, hey, like this mortal must be pretty badass. Now, when they finally reach this mortal, whose name is Calor, the imagery is crazy. His throne is basically a bunch of burnt skeletons. Okay? A heap of burnt bones, as the book says. So I imagine a very anime manga like scene where this guy has his foot up on his bone throne, and the three gods are coming towards him, and he's just like chilling, chilling like a villain. But anyways, it seems like the elder gods stop him, or they were gonna stop him, but this king decided to be ahead of the game and just sacrifice everyone. I don't 100% understand the implications behind what happened, but I thought it was pretty crazy. And one of the gods basically thinks that the land has suffered so much that he puts the entire hurt of the land into a giant warren. It ain't no tiny warren or typical portal like warren that we usually see. He just stuffs all of the hurt into this big warren and then, tries to seal it away, right? And, I played Diablo 2, and in Diablo, when someone tried to seal something that was utterly toxic and bad, the person sealed itself couldn't take it. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the mortal king did curse these gods and say, hey, you guys are going to fall from relevancy. Things aren't going to go well for you. I don't know how he would have the power to do that, but, I guess he does. And it seems like in this series, the more followers a god has or ascendant has, the more powerful they become. But anyways, we go on to the next part, and we see that a beast was looking for its mate, but then goes into a warren. Now, being the first time reading this, I have no idea who this beast is or why he or she is significant, but it happened, and I guess Steven Erikson will go into it later. But yeah, guys, that was the span of the prologue. And the very first thing I thought when I read this was I didn't really understand the significance of it. I had to read it one more time, but then it kind of clicked, and the scenes just like really absorbed into my mind. I don't know if you guys felt that way, but I definitely felt that way. I want to see what happened to those two Jaghut kids, because apparently the warren is really bad, right? And I also want to see this Calor king, but you would think that he would be gone now, right? It's been a really long time, but we don't know. But anyways, guys, that was my review and reaction of the prologue of Memories of Ice. Once again, I would like to do this for every chapter if possible, and kind of keep it going so that I can communicate with someone and talk about this series like I really wanted to. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that, and please feel free to leave a comment or speculation. Of course, no spoilers, please, because I'm really enjoying the book and I want to enjoy it to the fullest. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.